Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for remaining with us. This is Smart24 TV, where we drive your business. Now, let's look at the stock market. Seriously, we need to look at the stock markets at least for Friday and summarize the trading that happened here. Yesterday, someone asked me, is it possible for someone to start with 20,000 shillings actually to trade on the stock market? And I'm going to justify, yes, it is possible. There's a way you can invest, especially right now, given the current pricings for the instruments that we are seeing here on the stock market. It's very possible. Let's just have a look now at what transpired on the markets on Friday. Now, our markets here in Uganda open at 9 a.m. and close at exactly 1 p.m. East African Standard Time, and we have 18 listed companies. 10 of these are domestically listed here on the Uganda Stock Exchange, and 8 of them are mainly cross-listed from the Nairobi Stock Exchange. We're talking about companies like KCB, Centum, Nation Media Group, we have Equity Bank, and so many others. And then on the domestic equities, we have MTN, Stanbic Bank, National Insurance Corporation, and so many others as well. And on Friday, that was when we look at the Friday trades, we had about 2 Uganda Securities Exchange listed companies participate in the trading. Now, it's not a must that every company has to trade every single day. So just on Friday, we had 2 companies that carried out the trading. And these 2 participants were MTN Uganda and Stanbic. And MTN had the biggest volume that was traded on the stock markets on Friday. Regarding the losers and gainers, the day ended with 1 gainer only, and we had on the losing side about 7 losers, which was a disappointing performance a little bit. However, MTN gained by 1.03%, with the day ending the day with a price of over 190.0 Ugandan shillings. And when you look at the losing side, we had several companies, but most of these were domestically, they were actually cross-listed from Nairobi Stock Exchange, with Centum Investments coming at the bottom after losing about 2.89% of their daily price, closing the day with a price of 301.21 Ugandan shillings. The Nation Media Group at 1.93% decline also lost some value. KCB Group also lost 1.38%. And then Equity lost 1.08% on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Now, MTN, who was the top gainer, was also the top mover with the biggest volume traded, a very big volume of about 1,437,200 shares that were traded on the counter yesterday on Friday. And when you look at Stanbic Bank, who was also the second top mover at 2,300 shares that were recorded on Friday. Regarding the performance of the All Share Index, due to the poor performance of most of the companies and the decline in volumes for the other companies, we had 6.09 points that were shed off at the All Share Index, which is the aggregate performance tracker for all the listed companies on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, we closed at 1,270.32 points for the Uganda Securities Exchange All Share Index, representing a 1-week loss of 1.96% and a 4-week loss of about 5.03%. An overall year-to-date loss of 10.5% was also registered on the All Share Index. Now, the local company index, on the other hand, improved with an increase of 0.6% and reached 200 and 78.12 points. Now this is attributed to the good activity of MTN Uganda Limited, who actually came out as a top mover and a top gainer as well on the market. Now we are looking at the local company index increasing on a 1-week gain of 2.13% and on a 4-week gain still of 0.68%, but an overall year-to-date still loss of 14.33%, meaning at least we are looking for we're looking forward to much better activity on our local companies here in Uganda, such as MTN, Stanbic, Cipla, Quality Chemical Industries, and so many others. So at least as per the domestic equities, we are seeing a much better performance than the cross-listed equities on the stock exchange. Now let's look at the MTN counter here in a little bit more detail to see how the company is performing currently. Currently, MTN is the second most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of over 4.26 trillion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 19.5% on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And when you look at their performance, they yesterday traded a very good volume of 1.44 million at 273 million shillings. That's the amount of money that was transacted on MTN. And the shares outstanding are 22.4 billion shares currently that are valued at 4.26 trillion Ugandan shillings on the stock market. MTN, after closing its last day of trading at 190.0 Ugandan shillings, gained 1% over its daily performance on Friday, after having gained from 188.06 at the beginning of the trading session and closing the trading session with 190.0 Ugandan shillings. However, MTN began the year with a price of 194.99 Ugandan shillings, and since then it has lost about 2.56% of its price valuation, ranking it the 6th out of the 18 listed companies on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. On the other side of trading volumes, MTN within the last 3 months is the most traded on, one of the most traded on stock, and it's coming in the 3rd place out of the 18 companies that are listed, and comes behind only Bank of Baroda Uganda and Stanbic Bank Uganda in terms of volumes. Over the last 3 months, from the 20th of June to the 16th of September 2022, MTN has traded a total of over 15.6 million shares that are valued at over 2.95 billion. We are talking about the youngest company on the exchange, with the second most valuable stock, and this is MTN. And within the last 3 months, over 2.95 billion has been transacted on the MTN stock. So they have tried to put up a very good performance, at least for starters. And they, of course, came in as a very interesting IPO after initiating their electronic process, making their stock very accessible. And we saw several people buy shares for the first time on MTN, and this was because of how easy the company made it on their initial public offer. Even the offer right now still exists for at least opening your Central Securities Depository account by using a USSD code *165*57#. And this is the way the market was penetrated by the MTN initial public offer, with many millions of Ugandan, not quite a number of Ugandans actually buying stock into this company, and we are seeing current activity indicating that the company is not yet to stop. Now, on average, they have had about 247,934 shares that are traded per trading session, with a volume high of 2.28 million that was achieved on the 22nd of August, not so far from today. And Friday, they traded over 1.437 million shares, like I shared, which saw a 1.94 shillings increase to 90.0 shillings. Investors should be highly optimistic of the company, as the company still has gained on the 4-week performance 0.02% on its price valuation, and on a 3-month basis the company has gained a 2.7% on its price valuation, whereas on the 6-month performance the company is still on the gaining side, with a 5.56% increase in price over the last 6 months. So if you're looking at capital gain, yes, MTN is one company for you to look out for. Of course, they have had shortfalls where they have fallen to, for example, let me look at the graph here. In the month of March, towards the beginning of the month of March, they hit prices as low as 160 shillings. But right now we are counting 190 shillings. Meaning people who bought shares in March or before March, that's at 160 shillings, right now have a 30 shillings gain on each price. To put it in a more practical sense, if back then you bought, let's say, 1 million shares, that is at 160 million, that's of course an entirely hypothetical figure, because we don't know if someone bought 1 million shares on that day, but let's say you did. At 160 shillings, you bought 1 million shares. That's at 160 million. Today, you can sell those shares at 190 million, meaning you're going to get 30 million shillings within the last over about 6 months. Tell me one business that can give you that value in Uganda. Give me just one. Yes, they're countable. At least a few businesses can, but we are looking at the capital gain for a very young company. And you're saying probably you might not find buyers for maybe 100, maybe 1 million shares. Just on Friday, the company traded 1.4 million shares. What does it mean? It means you can still find buyers. On the 22nd of August, we have seen they had a volume of about 2.28 million. 2 million shares on a single day were traded. And on that particular day, when you look at the 22nd of August, well, I may not find the data very quickly, but still the pricing was very good for this particular stock. The company has over 2.95 billion turnover within the last 3 months. So what are you waiting for? If you have your 10 million there with you, you can buy some stock at MTN. You never know what could happen, but I wouldn't advise at least buying for today, because this 190 shillings could go down this week, as we may not predict. Of course, the stock market could maybe not be entirely predicted by me. There are so many other factors that could determine the price, but I can say you need to watch the MTN stock. And if you're an investor out there, a novice who is coming on the stock exchange, this is one of the companies definitely you should be looking out for on the Uganda Securities Exchange for capital gain. That is MTN Uganda stock for you there. And now when you look at Centum and all these other companies that lost on the Uganda Stock Exchange on Friday, their loss mainly wasn't due to trading, because they didn't have any volumes that were traded. But let's just have a look at what is happening currently on some of these companies. Centum Investment Company is one company that lost most on Friday Currently, it is the 13th most valuable stock with about a capitalization of 200 million Ugandan shillings, which makes about 0.917% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. On Friday, it lost 8.96 shillings to about 301.21 Ugandan shillings trading price, and that was a 2.89% decline in price at the Centum Investment Company. The company has 665 million shares outstanding and a total capitalization of 200 billion Ugandan shillings. It has lost on a 1 week basis about 5.57. That's on a 1 week basis, and it has lost on the 4 week basis about 1.18% as well. And when you look at the year-to-date performance, Centum began the year with a price of 444.82 Ugandan shillings, but has since then lost about 32.3% of their price valuation, which is something that should actually worry you to invest in Centum. So I wouldn't advise anyone at the moment to invest, at least in Centum investments for now, because it doesn't look so good on the stock market here in Uganda. Maybe you could cross over to Kenya. They could have better offers of stock there with even better activity on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Now, Centum in terms of trading is the 8th most traded on stock within the last 3 or so months, from the 20th of June to the 16th of September. They have had about 109,200 shares only that have been traded on the market that are worth 131.7 million shillings over the period. Their trading average is about 1,733 shares per trading session, and they have reached a volume high of just 100,000, which was achieved on the 19th of July 2022. And that was, when you look at the last 10 days of trading, they last traded on the 11th of August, and that was about 7,000 shares on the stock market. They also had some trading on the 8th of August, about 1,200 shares, and 100,000 shares on the 19th of July. So you see they have scanty kind of activity, and their gain is not so good at the moment. So it is not something I would advise at least a new investor to venture into at the moment. Now, when you look at Stanbic Bank Uganda, and I'll end with this company, Stanbic didn't have any change in the price on Friday. However, it was amongst the top movers on the market after having recorded a total of about 2,300 shares that were traded. Stanbic is still one of the big boys on the market in terms of trading, but also in terms of experience on the stock exchange. It has been listed since the year 2007, and that was on the 25th of January when it got listed on the stock exchange. Over 15 years of experience on the stock market here in Uganda. It trades under the ticker symbol SBU, and when you look at their current market capitalization, it is worth over 1.07 trillion Ugandan shillings on the stock market, and this represents 4.92% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange, and that pushes it to the 5th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange. After trading, there was about the market capitalization remained at 1.07. Like I said, there was no change in the price, but we have about 51.2 billion shares that are outstanding on the stock here at Stanbic Bank Uganda. And currently we have about, when you look at their year-to-date performance, they have lost about 19.2% from about 26 shillings at the beginning of the year to 20 shillings at the moment. And they are ranked number 12 in terms of year-to-date performance on the Uganda Securities Exchange. However, and this is very important, it is the second most traded stock. Meaning if you're looking for market activity, if you're looking for liquidity, this is one of the stocks you should also be looking out for as well. And over the last 3 months, from the 20th of June to the 16th of September 2022, the company has traded about 24.1 million shares on the stock market, which are valued at over 506 million Ugandan shillings. And they have had averages of about 383,052 shares per trading session that was achieved. When you look at the 8th of August, they had about 10.2 million shares, which is their peak that was achieved on the 8th of August. Now, the company is very good. When you look at the price, it's very much affordable. The most affordable financial institution that is listed on the exchange, comparing to others like, for example, when you look at Equity, which is at Equity Bank at 1,400, KCB Bank at 1,276, and Bank of Baroda at 85, which is slightly also higher, and then DFCU at 547. It is pretty much the most affordable stock in terms of the financial institutions or those companies offering financial services. So get yourself some stock at Stanbic and you're assured of liquidity. That's number one, but also value for your stock will definitely come with time. That is it from the Uganda Stock Exchange. And we, like I said, we have 18 companies. We don't have just the ones I've mentioned. These are just some of them that influenced the performance of the exchange on Friday. But we also have British American Tobacco, Uganda, at 15,000 shillings per share. We have Bank of Baroda, Uganda, at 85 shillings per share. We have Centum, as I mentioned, at 301. We have Cipla Quality Chemical Industries, which is the only pharmaceutical company, at 70 shillings. We also have DFCU Bank at 547 shillings. And we have East African Breweries Limited at 4,753.91 shillings. MTN at 190 shillings currently, and then KCB Bank at 1,200. Whereas National Insurance Corporation, NIC, at 5.8 Ugandan shillings. New Vision Printing and Publishing Company is currently at about 155 shillings. Uganda Clays is currently at 17, and then Umeme is at 200 shillings. That's it from the Uganda Stock Exchange. We are taking a quick breather, and when we return, we cross over to Nairobi Stock Exchange. Stay with us.